Okay. Testing the discoveries with. Wait a minute, hold on. Testing the discoveries with others. Now I wanted to find out if the psychic reception areas worked as well for others as they did for me. My first test subjects were fellow students at MTI and members of the Boston area psychic community. Mary, the leader in the latter group, was noted for the accuracy of her premonitions. She told me, however, she occasionally had to block times when she could not sense intuitive impressions for her clients. She would return their fee but feel badly that she was unable to help them. I respected Mary's sincerity. I knew all psychic readers experienced the same problem, and that the less honest ones would make up information. I told Mary where the institution psychic reception area was located and taught her how to tap into it mentally. When I saw her again 2 weeks later, she was beaming and with renewed vitality and enthusiasm. She had told me that 3 times during the past 2 weeks she had experienced psychic blocks, in which case she focused on the psychic reception area as I told her, and each time intuitive impressions flooded into her mind. 2 clients whose meetings with Mary coincided with her use of psychic reception area reported that those sessions produced the most accurate information. What? Most accurate information they had ever received from her. Testing my discoveries further, I found that that use of psychic reception areas enhanced virtually everyone's psychic success. Most important, it proved equally effective with men and women who were not previously skilled in the psychic area. For example, I met one evening with a group of people who had some time been trying to see auras, but unfortunately had not seen at all successfully. Had not been seen at all successfully. I shared this with the group. The location of the psychic reception area, almost immediately, all but one of them saw an area for the first time. Word of whose successes with Mary and with the group brought me many eager volunteer test subjects. They too found that knowing the location of the psychic reception areas opened up new psychic abilities for them, or enhanced abilities they already had. For example, Carl, a physical therapist, used the feeling psychic reception area to psychically feel which areas of her client's body needed most massage and stretching exercises. Carol, I guess her name's Carol. Carol let her hands follow the feelings she was receiving and massage the areas most needing stimulation. As a result, she often was able to cut clients' recovery time in half. Moreover, clients who sometimes had felt drained by the sessions now said that they felt energized by them. Carol's reputation with the physicians energized, physicians she worked for grew, and she soon was busier than ever thanks to additional referrals. Even most practical of endeavors I discovered could benefit from a person's knowledge of psychic reception areas. For example, I recall a man named Ben who owned a car dealership in a Boston suburb. He used hearing psychic reception area to better listen to the engines of used cars he bought as trade-ins. Ben also listened psychically as the owners talked about their cars. On one instance, he heard in his mind the unmistakable sound of stripping gears and got the owner to admit that the car had a history of recurrent transmission problems. Thanks to utilization of his psychic hearing reception area, Ben was taking fewer trade-in lemons. For new people to ESP, the knowledge of psychic reception areas increased their intent psychic ability to a level where they could recognize it and use it. Those who had already experienced ESP found that their speed, accuracy, and control were enhanced. Since that time, I have field tested the psychic reception areas in many parts of the world. During my volunteer service as a naval officer, I visited psychic groups in various countries and refined my methods to make them workable for people from all cultures and backgrounds. They can and work for you too. I don't know. Can you? Can you be a volunteer naval officer? I don't think you can. Your voluntary service as a naval officer. I mean, I guess if you just, I guess he's saying that he wasn't drafted, but he just went to the military. So he went to MIT and he went to the military. I don't know. I'm not sure about this guy. An introduction to the four psychic senses. Psychic hearing is most closely intertwined with our physical being. Its psychic reception area is the front of the body, extending from the top of the diaphragm just below the navel. This area is called the solar plex. This is the site of many nerve conjunctions. The extrasensory impressions received here, quite literally gut feelings. They are often accompanied by uneasy physical sensations ranging from vague discomfort to actual nausea or even abdominal pain. She knew these symptoms can be a warning of imminent danger. A New York opera singer was able to recognize a message from her psychic feelings and use it in a desperate effort to save her husband's life. Stella had seldom worried about flying. After all, she routinely took commercial planes to make her appearance in the many far-flung opera houses. But after she married Paul, an international businessman who traveled mostly on smaller company jets, Stella panicked every time they flew together. Every time he flew alone, she felt even more uneasy and fearful. After Paul's rebuffal, her entreaties to stop using small planes, Stella for years managed to keep her uneasiness to herself. One day, her husband called to say he was leaving for Saudi Arabia and his client's small plane. Stella instantly felt tightening in her abdomen and found it hard to breathe, felt nauseated and experienced a total sense of panic in her gut. Associating those psychic sensations with a warning psychic feeling, she called Paul back and begged him not to make the flight. She sounded so upset and was so insistent that he almost agreed to switch to a commercial flight. In the end, however, because Paul didn't leave an ESP, he told Stella she was just being over-emotional. Paul learned too late that the reality of Stella's psychic feeling. Their commercial flight made it safely to Saudi Arabia, but his small plane crashed in a desert with no survivors. Okay? Well, I mean, I don't know. These stories are like stories without like actual names or dates, or they're just like him telling a story. I'm intrigued to see if I actually learn anything. Psychic intuition, or knowing, is the most fleeting and evascent of the four psychic senses. It is an inner awareness unsupported by any particular internal sensation or external stimulus. You just know. Psychic reception area for intuition is the crown in the top of the head. Picture an open funnel extending upward from the center of the brain and widening as it emerges from the top of the head. That the funnel is, in fact, a direct conducting pathway to the corpus callosum, the nerve bundle that links the two hemispheres of the brain. To tap psychic intuition, you simply think upwards and note your impression or psychic intuitive knowing. Most of us occasionally know what another person is going to say before he or she spoke, or knew the outcome of a situation before the event itself took place. Marilyn Shipley, Phoenix, Arizona psychotherapist and a free soul instructor. Okay, so whenever he does give some good like data here, he's like, it's just because they're working for him. Oh no, man. I don't know if I can trust this dude. I don't know if I can trust him. I don't know. Marilyn Shipley, a Phoenix, Arizona psychotherapist and free soul instructor, tells of a more striking example of psychic intuition and knowing, and how trusting it prevents disaster for her. I was driving 60 miles an hour along an undivided 4-lane highway when I suddenly knew that the car on my right was going to pull into my lane and cut me off. There was nothing in the driver's action to warn me. The car was in the middle of its own lane, moving smoothly. There was no turn signal flashing, yet I knew what was going to happen. Marilyn hit her brakes at the same instant as the other car veered into her lane. If I didn't, she said, it would either have been hit or forced into a head-on collision with an oncoming traffic to my left. The reception areas for psychic hearing, sometimes called clairvoyance, are on each side of the head just above the ears. This is the area of the brain's temporal lobes. That section of the central nerve system closely associated with auditory processing. Psychic hearing manifests itself as inner word or inner sound, words, phrases, even paragraphs of inner dialogue may impress themselves onto you as if psychic stereo or as onto you as if through psychic stereo headphones. Sometimes clairvoyance colluderant. Sometimes the clairvoyance impression of a familiar song can be meaningful. Consider the example of a woman I know who had been divorced for 3 years and was ready for a new relationship, but wondered if she would ever meet a special man again. While waiting on an open train platform one coldy, blistery March day, Georgia heard a song being played. I'll be with you in the apple blossom time. She looked around. She was alone on the platform, far away from radio or any other source of music. Sensing that the song was in her mind, she asked herself a question. When is apple blossom time? And focused on hearing above ear level. Again, her inner radio clicked on. One day in May, I'll come your way in apple blossom time. Gloria forgot the incident until early May when she visited a friend in the country and noticed that apple blossoms were flowering. 2 days later, she had a blind date and met the man she knew she had been waiting for. To find the psychic reception area for psychic vision, simply close your eyes and you will notice that with your eyes shut, your visual awareness automatically shifts upwards. It moves from eye level to the top of your forehead. This location is the ancient philosophers' so-called third eye. Wait, hold on. Maybe that's how that works. I'm not for sure. I've been trying it, and maybe he's trying to say that's where you're supposed to focus on to make it work, because that's all this is. This guy's saying that you close your eyes, you focus on areas of your body, and it makes psychic stuff work better. That's all he's saying. He's saying it over and over and over again. And he's starting to tell you where they are. Some are your ears, one's your forehead, another one's your stomach. Um, at, so, 1, 2, 3. I don't know where the other one is yet. Open and close your eyes several times until you can be sure you sense that shift of attention. Oh, well, I tried that. I did do that. I open and close my eyes a bunch of times. It's almost like you're not, like, whenever I was trying this, it's almost like you're blinking, right? Or you close your eyes and you're like, I think it works kind of, sort of. Like, eventually, once my eyes shut, I feel like they're like this for a bit, right? But, as you let your eyes relax or whatever, right? You can feel like them tilt back up, sort of. Like, and then you're like looking straight up, sort of. It's not like it's not like you're whenever I so whenever I first closed my eyes, I was expecting that, like, it would just I would think that I'm looking out from my forehead. It would feel like whenever I close my eyes, I automatically am looking out my forehead. But, like, it doesn't. I think it has to do with your inner eye more than, like, thinking that there's a eye on your, or, like, thinking that, like, the perception is gonna raise up. It's gonna tilt back and then you're gonna sort of be looking at your third eye, you know what I mean? So, like, once you're, this is the way I'm explaining it, because I don't know if it's working or not, but, like, okay, so the perception is, like, your eyes are here, right? But then whenever you close your eyes, they're still here until you let them relax more, and then they start to roll back. They start to roll back, and then that's whenever they tilt up, and they're looking like this. They're looking, outwards or upwards towards your third eye or whatever. Your third eye. I don't know if, like, I'm not seeing anything while I'm doing it, but, like, I can feel it happening, I can feel the tilt back. It feels like it's kind of not just tilting back, it feels like they're going straight up or maybe even further. It feels like they're winding back, sort of. Sometimes. Like, I can feel it doing that sometimes whenever I let them relax enough, like now. I don't know what you do with your psychic visions. Okay. There are two types of psychic vision. One is aura vision, which enables you to see psychic energy fields that surround each of us. When you observe and interpret any, uh, whenever you observe and interpret another person's aura, you are in effect taking a psychic x-ray of his or her personality, motives, and intentions. The second type I call clairvoyant image reception, which registers visual psychic impressions directly on the mind's eye through pictures, images, or symbols. It's almost like watching an internal TV screen. Psychic vision happens to be my greatest psychic strength. Although everyone has four psychic senses, each of us is stronger in one or two of them. One of my most striking experiences with psychic vision occurred to me years ago when I was hoping to make my first lecture on ESP in Los Angeles. I was daydreaming and looking at my calendar when I suddenly saw words lecture in LA appear on the empty space for Thursday, November 20th. I decided to follow my vision, but quickly ran into a stone wall. Every radio or television talk show I called an effort to arrange some pre-lecture publicity either turned me down or was fully booked until fully booked still each time I looked at my calendar with psychic vision. The same image appeared in the November 20 space. So I went to Los Angeles anyways. Once again, I began my round of phone calls. This time, a producer for one of the TV talk shows said, "We've had a cancellation for tomorrow morning. We'd love to have you on, but it will only be for a few minutes." That was good news, and the bad news was that my search for a place to speak was proving more difficult. On such short notice, I found only 2 available locations. One was centrally located and very reasonably priced, but held only 75 people. Another one was on the fringe of a city, expensive, and held 200 people. That would be more than twice the response I had ever had from a television interview. I thought, I really need a sign for which meeting room to choose. Almost at once, my mind's eye saw a billboard along a freeway. It bore the words ESP lecture here tonight, and an arrow pointing to the hotel with a larger room. I knew there was no such billboard in reality when I realized, of course, I asked for a sign that is exactly what I got. With renewed confidence, I turned the brief television interview into a major success, and my lecture audience filled the large room. By following my psychic vision, I had been able to share with thousands on television the message of practical psychic sensitivity, as well as successfully conduct the first free soul training ever held in Los Angeles. Knowing your psychic strengths. Everyone can learn to focus on psychic reception areas in order to enhance all of his or her psychic abilities, but as you become more adept, the process you will find that 1 or 2 of your psychic senses are dominant, easier and more reliable for you to use. This means you are discovering your natural psychic strengths. The strengths of your physical senses vary. Vary in much the same way. For example, some people learn better when they can see or read a lesson. They are visual learners. Others learn more effectively by listening. Still others use their sense of touch to get the feel for a task at hand. Teachers of early reading and writing skills are trained to spot these differences and to teach in a way that best meets each student's sensory needs. Those of you in psychic vision, those of you high in psychic vision, we in Free Soul called visionaries. Those who primarily feel their psychic impressions are called feelers. Those whose strength relies on psychic hearing are auditants. Those who perceive psychic impressions intuitively are prophets. So we got visionary, feelers, audience, and prophets. Prophetics. What's up? Everyone has all four of the psychic senses, but for simplicity and efficiency, it is important to know which psychic senses are your best channels for ESP. A useful analogy is to think of a one-way radio or television station always comes in best for you. It doesn't make sense to listen or to watch a fuzzier station when you have a clear alternative. The same is true psychically. For example, it is ridiculous for people high in psychic hearing to waste time and energy trying to develop extensive clairvoyant skills while ignoring their clearer feeling channel. Prophetics people will be less effective if they ignore their intuitive impressions while trying to receive louder psychic hearing. Not understanding this concept of different psychic strengths is the biggest cause of slow psychic development. Trying to function physically through your weaker ESP channels is like trying to swim upstream and can be highly frustrating. I frequently meet men and women who feel they are psychic failures because they cannot see an aura, yet these same people invariably prove to be physically strong in other areas. Consider the example of Bill, an early student of mine in Tucson, Arizona. For nearly 5 years, he had been trying to see auras and had been completely frustrated. To make matters worse, he had been studying with a group of people who were obviously high in psychic vision. They frequently saw auras and had vivid mental images in their meditations while he was getting nothing. Bill was at the point of declaring himself psychically stupid and giving up altogether. Then, when I pointed out that his aura indicated he had natural strengths and psychic feeling, Bill recalled how he had always received impressions about people as a feeling sensation without seeing their auras. He further remembered how, in meditations, feelings flooded through him that frequently proved even more informative than the pictures fellow students described. Bill, as if the weight of years of trying to sense in the wrong way had been lifted from his shoulders. He felt the class. He left the class knowing that he was in fact psychic and knowing how he could practice it and improve his ability. Moreover, he decided that in his work as a employment counselor, he was going to stop trying to see physically at the job that was right for his clients. Instead, from now on, he would trust his inner feelings about which interviews to send them on. Next, I saw Bill several months later, when next I saw Bill several months later, he told me his placement percentage had doubled. For the first time in years, he had truly been enjoying his work. Additionally, his meditations were now relaxing experiences rather than intense tests for him. By following the inner feelings he received while meditating before work each day, Bill frequently anticipated opportunities. The most notable examples occurred when he felt and found job openings for his clients even before the jobs were announced. Like Bill, you learn to use your natural ESP strengths and use them properly. You too will be able to get the clear and most accurate psychic information. Further, you will be receiving it in a manner that is best for you. As you read the following chapter, Discovering Your Psychic Personality. As you read the following chapters on individual psychic senses and hear the stories of my students and instructors, you will begin to identify and become familiar with your personal psychic strengths. You will also gain new insight into your psychic personality. I have learned that the order in which you use your psychic senses directly affects how you live your life. For an instance, if you are high in psychic intuition, you will automatically refer to trust your inner knowings. If your strength lies in psychic vision, visualizing and reviewing all your options before making decisions is a way of life for you. Hold on. Hold on. Let me re-say these. I've learned that the order in which you use your psychic senses directly affects how you live your life. For instance, if you are high in psychic intuition, you will automatically refer to trust your inner knowings. If your strength lies in, so trust your inner knowings, and then the next one, if your strength lies in psychic vision, visualizing and reviewing all your options before making decisions is a way of life for you. Psychic feelers love to feel the pulse of life, but frequently get overwhelmed by the impressions that bombard them. Separating their own psychic feelings from those they pick up from others is essential. Those high in psychic hearing will naturally tend to talk to themselves and analyze the world around them through inner conversations. When you understand your psychic strengths and personality, each day becomes an adventure in self-knowledge and greater achievement. And when you understand the psychic personality of those around you, you can communicate and interact with them more easily, effectively and lovingly. There are some things to look for. Are there people in your life who refuse to plan ahead? Chances are they're not being responsible, but are psychically intuitive by nature and will know what to do when the time comes to do it. When they say, "I know," before you have finished describing your thought, they're not being rude, they just do. Or they do know. Because visionaries have an inner picture of the way things should be, they will not easily embrace a new idea. If you push them to make a snap decision, you will almost certainly get a no for an answer. Give them time to work it through their picture, and you will get a more positive result. Feelers need to feel comfortable about everything they do. It is almost painful for them to be in an environment that feels unpleasant. A touch or a hug is important to them as a business handshake. Audience people are the direct antithesis of feeling people. Because they operate on inner feelings and understanding, they tend to tune out feelings. As a result, they are analytical, assertive, even harsh. You may mistakenly think they dislike you because auditants seldom realize how strongly they are affecting others. This is just a taste of some of the insights into life you can gain once you see the world from a psychic perspective. Each of the 4 next chapters on individual psychic senses will help you not only to develop that particular form of ESP, but will also make clear the reasons behind many of your personality traits and your reactions to those around you. Okay. Psychic feeling, the body as an antenna. this is a pretty good stopping point. Okie dokie. Until next time.